murder time. We're going to get started here. As you can see, I'm wearing one of the shirts that I got when I was out in Philadelphia. Good old Rocky, the Italian stallion. I was there in Philly for a show a couple weeks ago, and we stopped at the stairs where of course, the public library, or not public library, Museum of Art, I guess it is. Yeah, it's a Museum of Art there in Philadelphia, and those are the Rocky stairs, in the movie where he runs up. And there is still somewhere in Philly, I didn't get to go see it, there is still a monument to Rocky with his arms raised up, So we had to do the pictures there at the stairs. Somewhere I've posted those. But while I was there, I picked up a Italian Stallion tank top because it's cool. Who doesn't want one of those? So I got one of those. And but we're going to go on with some 5-minute murder. This weekend, I will be in Raleigh, North Carolina for a show there. That should be a lot of fun. I'm excited to go to Raleigh and to, see everybody, spread some Killers love. I have not been to Raleigh as of yet. And so it's been, I guess I was there when I was a kid, but it's been a long time since I've been in North Carolina. So I will be excited to be there this weekend for World Oddities Expo and have some fun. All right, so let's pick us a card and see who we get. I'm going to shuffle them one more time. Let's see. All right, so today we got Benjamin Bugsy Siegel. So Bugsy Siegel was born on February 28th, 1906. Died on June 20th, 1947. Bugsy Siegel was an American mobster. Not Italian, interesting. But Siegel was known as one of the most infamous and feared gangsters of his day. Described as handsome and charismatic, he became one of the first front-page celebrity gangsters. He was also a driving force behind the development of the Las Vegas Strip. On June 20th, 1947, Siegel was shot dead in his home, in the home of his girlfriend, Virginia Hill, in Beverly Hills, California. Bugsy Siegel, an interesting character, and Virginia Hill being one of the starlets of that day. I want to check this real quick because I want to make sure that I get my facts correct. I do this show and we do it very, very off the cuff, right? And so, I try to make sure that when I do everything that, I want to know what I'm talking about, of course. But a lot of this stuff I'm doing from memory. So I don't always get it correct. Usually I'm pretty good. But this is one of those instances where I already said one thing and I want to make sure that I'm correct before I say something incorrect. So let's look it up real quick. But Benjamin Siegel, of course, is an interesting figure because in the movie The Godfather, the character is used as, part of the characters in that. Of course, Vito Corleone is very much based off of Vito Genovese and the formation of the mafia. So, and I was right. Siegel, obviously not a Italian last name, but he was definitely an influence on the Italian mafia, and he was really, really good friends with, oh my goodness, Lucky Luciano. So Lucky Luciano, Vito Genovese, Benjamin Bugsy Siegel, and Meyer Lansky are the ones that really formed. This sun is getting me right there. But they were the ones that really started the commission and formed what we know as La Cosa Nostra. And so that all formed in New York. But Bugsy Siegel was a large part of that. Meyer Lansky was a huge part of that. And of course, Meyer ends up being kind of the brains behind the whole group. Bugsy Siegel was part of the muscle. Very, very smart guy, very flamboyant. But him and Vito Genovese were specifically the muscle for that group. Lucky Luciano also was a very, very strong personality, but very smart too. So it was the combination of Meyer Lansky's smarts and Lucky Luciano's smarts in putting together the commission, and Vito Genovese and Bugsy Siegel were kind of the hammer that got everything done. Now, as the commission is formed, Bugsy Siegel is sent out to Vegas, right, to start everything there, because he can't really be part of the stuff going on in New York because he's not Italian, right? And of course, there were a bunch of rules against that. But interestingly enough, in the Italian American mafia, they used lots of people that weren't Italian, even though it was like frowned upon and against the rules. But two of the guys there that are founding all of this are not Italian, they're Jewish guys, Bugsy Siegel and Meyer Lansky. But those were the guys with the smarts. And along with that, I'm trying to think of what his name is right now. Arnold Rothstein, right? The other guy that was kind of the money behind Charles Lucky Luciano and everybody else. Arnold Rothstein is the guy that fixed the 1901? Anyway, or 1911? No, it's got to be 1901. Anyway, the World Series. The guy that fixed the World Series is also a gangster during that time, also not Italian, but is the guy that bankrolled everything that Luciano was doing at the time and really provided him the means to get rid of both of the Black Hands, right? The guys who were controlling New York at the time, the old Mustache Pete's. I'm trying to think of what their names are right off the top of my head. Oh my goodness. And it's not going to come to me right now. But anyway, Maranzano and, oh my goodness. I can't think of the other one. But anyway, they were the two that got bumped off and allowed Lucky Luciano to then form the commission. And then from the commission, we get the five families that end up ruling all of organized crime all through the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, into the 80s and 90s of American history. So it is fascinating that all of this happens. Bugsy Siegel gets sent to Las Vegas. Bugsy Siegel is the one that creates the old Las Vegas Strip, right? And the Flamingo is the casino that he is part of, that he founds, and really becomes the big star of Las Vegas. And when the mafia was in control of Las Vegas, you always hear the stories of, all the bodies buried in the desert, right? Well, Bugsy Siegel was a huge part of that. He was the one out there doing it. So it is, Bugsy is the guy, right? He's out there doing that. And I believe, if I remember correctly, the Mo Green character in The Godfather, very much based off of Bugsy Siegel and kind of his personality, right? Because Bugsy was very flamboyant. He was out there. He knew everybody. He was getting things done. But of course, Bugsy gets way too big for his britches. And he ends up causing a lot of problems for the mafia there in Vegas, and eventually ends up getting taken out because of that. Now, there's all kinds of theories behind that. Why did Bugsy Siegel get killed? Was Meyer Lansky part of that, right? Did Meyer order the hit on Bugsy, who was his friend? Was Virginia Hill part of that? Did she actually set him up to be killed? Did she hold him in the apartment, in her apartment, for the gunman to get there and kill him? Those are questions that, we don't necessarily have answers to. What happened to Bugsy Siegel and why was he killed? I don't know. But apparently he was had fallen out of favor with everyone else, And he had aspirations of the movies, getting involved with Virginia Hill was part of that. And so he was doing all kinds of things there that they didn't like. They didn't like him being so open and so out there because, organized crime flourishes best in the dark. It's the same problem later on, 20, 30 years later, that they would have with John Gotti, right? John Gotti was very, very flamboyant, very out there in the media and, trying to, tango with the government. And it didn't work out very well for him. It also did not work out very well for Bugsy Siegel. So, but he was the guy who literally founded Las Vegas. The Flamingo Hotel was, the number one hotel that they built in, looks like 1946. It was built and opened up. They reopened it in 1947. Let's see. But apparently they were upset because it seemed like Bugsy Siegel and Virginia Hill had skimmed $1 million off of the hotel. And so it seems like that is a big reason for him getting killed, right? That he had stolen $1 million from the mafia who was bankrolling a hotel, him and Virginia Hill, and they ended up killing Bugsy because of it. So yeah, it's a fascinating story. But Bugsy was born in Brooklyn, and he got to know everybody in the mob. He became friends with Meyer Lansky. Both Meyer and Bugsy were young, right, when they formed a gang. And let's see, what was the name of that gang? I don't remember what the name of it was. It was the Bugs and Myers mob. That they formed really, really early on in New York and New Jersey. Lepke Buckhalter was also part of that gang, who was another famous Chicago mobster, but he was part of the gang. Let's see, Abner Zwillman, who I don't know who that is, and Meyer's brother Joseph Stacher was part of that gang as well. And then later on they meet up with Lucky Luciano. He becomes a part. They do stuff together. Bugsy was also a friend of Al Capone. So all around the same time, these guys were all together doing all these things. They really formed early, crime here in America, organized crime. And it's fascinating how all that stuff came to be. And these guys, became famous, right? It seems like, let's see. Oh, wow. Another one that we'll talk about at some point is Albert Anastasia, who was around at the same time. He was the guy that was in charge of Murder Incorporated, right? The very famous picture of the guy that shot to death in the barber's shop right next to the barber chair was Albert Anastasia. That guy was known as the Lord High Executioner, right? Not a guy you wanted to mess with. They estimated that he had killed up to like 10,000 people. Crazy story. Realistically, he probably only killed a few hundred, maybe a few thousand. But you think about that. One guy. Now, I don't know if he did all that himself, but, probably, he ordered the hits of hundreds, if not thousands of people, being the head of Murder Incorporated during the time when mob hits were happening every day, right? It was a regular thing during that time. But there you go. I don't want to go too far because we're way over time. Sorry, guys. It's like 12-minute murder today. But I love mafia history and organized crime history. And for those of you that know that my book is coming out, I am currently working on volume 2, focusing on criminals. And so I've started out in the Wild West with Billy the Kid, but quickly we will go into mafia history. And so I'm really excited to get into that. It's one of my favorite things to do. So guys, be looking out for that. Pick up the book. Go to beyondtheheadlinestruecrime.com, and you can see my website. You can pre-order the book there and check it out. Yeah, it'll be out in July. It's only a couple months away. Make sure you get that pre-order in right away, and yeah, come and join me on further journeys. Thank you guys. I'll see you soon.
The number you have dialed is not available at present. Please leave your message after the beep.
Yeah, trendsetter. Whoa, league of my